it is, well, we're gonna wait 1 minute. Call it right at 5. As soon as it hits. All right, we'll call this meeting to order 5. Can you get a roll call, please?
Steve,
Here.
George,
Here.
Daniel,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
Doug,
Here.
Brandon,
Not present.
absent,
Alrighty.
and me.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion. We dispense with the last meeting's minutes because I don't believe they are ready yet.
They're not. I didn't think I needed them for tonight.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Alright. I made the motion. George has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna dispense with reading in the minutes. Alright, so first up is talking about this truck. So we did a little bit of looking. I've got signed, and I'll pass these around. These are the actual signed sales contracts for the truck. If we choose to sign one, we just need to sign it and turn it in. If we choose not to sign one, we can put them in the shredder. They're both, one of them is, what was that? First one is hereby agrees to sell 2004 AFL 75 Quinn apparatus number blah 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 for a sum of $148. That's $148,000 plus our trades. So we would trade in our trucks and we would get it for $148. The second one says that they would sell it to the sum of $153,000 plus the buyer's trades, and the difference between the two is, Chief?
Yeah.
You know what the difference between these two is? Why one's 53, one's 148?
148 is we sign a 2-year service contract where they come and work on the truck.
Okay, and
And
we
they
have
give us $5,000 off.
all right, and we have the cost of that.
Hmm?
We have the cost of that, or is that just a contract for us to let them do our service?
It's a contract that they come and service just that truck.
Okay, so it's not like a prepaid service plan. It's literally we're just agreeing for them to service the truck.
Correct.
Okay.
And that warranted us an additional $5,000 off.
All right. Any idea what the difference is between allowing them to service it versus what we're normally doing?
I do not know that.
So that would be
We don't wanna guess either.
no. Though to be perfectly honest, it might not be a bad idea to have that truck serviced by Bremley Mountain just because A, they're a professional service outfit that's designed to do these. B, they're we've had enough trouble with mechanics coming in from out of the community, so to speak, and ended up having to rebuild trucks. I think, what was it 1303 that spent all that time at Freightliner because of that?
And they do offer mobile service, so we don't have to drive all the way up to that.
That's not bad at all. So that's the two. I'll pass these around. So I'll start over there with Doug.
You've seen these.
Is that mobile service part of the 5,000? I mean, we don't have to pay extra for the mobile service?
No, the cheaper one is the one that has the service contract. Basically, we can either pay them $153 or they'll give us a $5,000 discount in order to give them a two-year contract to do the service for them. And to be honest, they'd have to be pretty expensive for us to not get a $5,000 difference between their service charges and any other mechanic. I doubt they're that much more expensive. But it'd be certainly nice to know. We can look at the details on that service contract as they come up, depending on what the board's wish
Yeah,
is
they're
on
all
that.
written right here.
So as far as financing goes, we've got several different places that we've started shopping financing on. Some need a little bit more detail, a little bit more information to line out their terms. Republic First National is, which actually I've got this. This is a flyer for them here that we can pass. Pass around. We got that. Doug.
And what we have though is without a down payment?
Yo, if you look at what you have, it's she just put in 150, which is obviously incorrect. because she did not put in the, she just put in the purchase price of the truck as opposed to with the down payment and everything. I did go back and calculate, I ran it back to find out what the interest rate is. Something is a little strange about this, because typically when you have a shorter term, you get a lower interest rate. But I ran it back, and if you look at this 7-year term, it's actually 20 basis points higher than, it's 3.8 versus 3.6
But those
versus
were just
12
like,
year.
those were just like rough estimates, because unless you filled out the actual paperwork, which is gonna cost $500, they, yeah,
Hmm.
they just gave estimates, so it's not actual numbers.
Alright.
And they said once they got our information, the interest rate might be lower.
It's great when they say that, $500 just to apply, but we've got a couple other banks we're waiting on too. This should be sufficient for us to see where it's gonna fit budget-wise though. They've got a 12-year term here. When I ran the numbers backwards and put it on 130,000 financed, it would be roughly $1,029 a month. Catherine got the annual figures in here, annual payment figures, as opposed to monthly payment figures. And from conversations I had with her, I believe Republic First National, because we take in the bulk of our money annually from dues, they will basically pick your poison. We can pay it either way, but we have the option to have an annual lump payment as opposed to having to put it in monthly. But it comes out to right at $1,030 a month for 12 years to pay that truck off, versus or $12,352 and some change as an annual payment.
If we were to pick any of those, there's no. I'm hoping and assuming there's no penalty for paying off early.
There shouldn't be. It's
Uh-huh.
simple interest loans. Like I said, we're still gathering a lot of the actual loan terms. We don't really need the actual loan terms right now.
Mhm.
What we need right now is to determine, is this something that could feasibly fit in our budget, and then begin the process of hammering it out up to a certain amount and closing on the truck. Or do we look at this and say, there's not $1,000 a month in the budget, there's not a way for us to make that work? We're also still waiting on insurance quotes for the difference in insurance, because we will be taking 3 trucks that are all significantly older, one of which doesn't even run, off of our insurance, which is significant in and of itself. So if we've got 3 trucks going off of our insurance, replacing it with 1 newer truck, we should see some savings on that side that'll offset some of the payment. The real question, this will be my thoughts on it, I would look at figuring it at a $1,500 a month payment and seeing if that's something that we feasibly could fit into our budget.
I'd like to hear from the chief.
Alright, guys, we were, basically, this is not the only option. We don't have to buy a truck right now. I don't wanna play devil's advocate here, but you need to know what we're getting into is we don't have to have the truck, okay? It was an answer to our growing problems with our older trucks. We initially were gonna have Brindley Mountain be our agent to sell the trucks at some time, either on the trade for a better truck, or like we've got out right now, our grants are out, we're still waiting on that. We don't get our grants, we're gonna write them again until we get a truck. Okay, a pumper, a new pumper, and we only have to put down 10% on those trucks. So we can still go that route. I'm like I said, this is gonna be completely up to y'all, but we found out the other day, in order to get max points on the ISO for that truck, you gotta have the manpower to drive the truck. We don't. We have 1 man on duty. So, it's nice to have it. It's 10 years newer, it lasts us 20 years, but with all that's going on, I'm not saying that not to get it. I'm just saying, our economy's bad right now, as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of unknowns out there. We can keep writing grants. We have mutual aid agreements. We have some rock solid mutual aid agreements that Chief Bassard has worked on. I'm just having to be honest here. We can use that money in other places, like turnout gear. I had something to show y'all on the back. We just cut the carpet up today. I didn't get to show George the other day. It was black mold all over the place back there. It's gonna have to be replaced. It's
We
the
have a
job-
leak in the roof.
It's a leak around that door frame and at the base. We gotta find out where it is. But it's completely given way, and that's even with a lighter guy like Tyler Doyle and me. It's bad. We just cut it up. We got pictures of it. Y'all can go back and look at it. It's bad. I'd rather you not. I'd rather you just look at it. But I'm not trying to say no, but we through our grant servicing and our writing, we're gonna have to get something someday. We do have something else that we're working on quietly. We'll bring y'all down the road. When we were up there, we were just up there to talk to them about our trucks and our value versus usage, okay? And the trucks keep breaking down and the maintenance. It's gonna cost $55,000 more to fix that ladder truck, and it's only worth, what we talking about, Steve, the other day, it's gone down to 5 cents instead of 16 cents. Down here, it's only worth $3,000. Up there, they're gonna give us $4,500 in scrap. That's their problem, you know, if they were gonna do that. But like I said, we got 1301 is still viable. We can still use it as a backup truck. The only reason we threw it in the pot is because it's worth something right now to somebody. Though the rescue fixed with the electrical, we got some electrical due on that. But we have some other stuff that we're working on too. Chief Bassard and I and the guys, we're not going to be upset about the proper decision that y'all make here. I promise you that. You don't have to worry about that at all. You need to make the right decision. The only reason this came up is because we went up there to shop with them about, we had looked at that truck, but we really went up there to talk to them about our trucks. If they were going to be the agents of those sales one day, which could be NAFCO or them or whatever, through our mutual aid responses, we do have other ladder trucks, okay? So I'm going to leave that with y'all and let y'all make it. We don't know. This could be a burden. It could be a burden, but at some point in time, we're either going to take a lesser burden with a grant truck and only have to pay 10%, which I'm about that all day long. I'd much rather pay $50,000 than, because new trucks are $500,000 to $800,000. They take a year and a half to build. You don't have to pay for them until they're finished. So if we got, let's say they called me today. Doug Aiken called me the other day. He knew we were having this meeting. He said, "Hey, are y'all looking at a truck?" I said, "We're just looking. We're just looking at something to replace our ladder truck." Our ladder truck holds a lot of nostalgia in this department. I have already figured that out. That is the only reason that we looked at the truck, to replace the truck, okay? Because that one, it's seen better days. But any other questions?
The long and short is just what is the benefit versus what's our benefit versus our drawback. Our drawback is we have to acquire some debt. From what it looks like and from what I gathered from Jim, we're gonna have probably a substantial amount of equity in this truck. It could turn around and it could literally be turned around and sold for a profit.
That's true.
And it's a whole lot newer than these. Like you said, we got one truck that has some value right now. Apparently it's one bad oil change away from being just like the ladder truck and being worth $4,000 of scrap. And those are 94, 95s. So there's your positives, is we're replacing all this old equipment, some of which can't be used. Last time I checked, you can't put a fire out with nostalgia. And so there's no reason to keep anything like that. You can pull the number plate off of it and hang it up in here somewhere. But on the positive side, we don't have to take out debt. We might get a grant and then a year later have a truck, or we might not get the grant and then get the grant the next year and it'll be 3 years before we've got a new truck. and we're still gonna have to acquire some debt and stuff on that. Would this truck not carry more trade value against that new truck with the grant than the ones we have down there?
It would, but it has to be paid off.
It has to be paid off for us to trade it in.
Yeah, you can't, well, I think y'all all know that, you can't be paying on something, cause you're not.
Usually you just get the bank ends up paying out the equity.
Right, so that would be, I'd have to check with Doug on that, there's too many, cause there's so many parameters on a new truck that you have to meet.
That's definitely worth looking into, because if we got a truck that we've got $100,000 in equity sitting in, or even 60 or 70 grand in equity sitting in, versus 3 trucks that may basically be worth scrap by the time we get a grant truck.
You could end up with both, it's a gamble. We could end up with both trucks, or we could just end up with the grant truck down the road, who knows? I don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know, and especially, I'm not trying to talk y'all out of it, because I promise you, he and I, and the rest of us have got a backup plan. It is a whole lot more closer to what y'all definitely would wanna do down the road. And a whole lot more, viable for us that we'd like to employ. It's just, I don't have the manpower for that truck. Volunteer or paid, it doesn't matter if they're all here. They're making all of us, everybody has to have certifications now to drive.
So we should have the personnel before we worry about a truck.
I gotta be honest about it,
Well, just me thinking, I would rather spend that $30,000 payment or down payment getting y'all new turnout gear.
but absolutely. Like I said, we can use that money. I've got 2 guys right now that are sitting out here in this old turnout gear that's 20 years old. They brought their gear from their other departments, their secondary gear. We all have secondary gear somewhere else. And our chiefs are allowed that to happen. But that's not gonna go on forever. So we need to get some turnout. Also, we got some other stuff going on with the city, and if that works out, that'd be nice. If we get that worked out, we could get a couple more sets, and we could use it that way. We desperately need a monitor. A monitor to take blood pressure, SATs, for these EMTs and paramedics to use on these scenes. North Star, our monitor's dead. It is completely dead, and Jim, can you tell me some more about it? About, it can't be serviced because it's age, right?
Physio control doesn't make life back close anymore, and that's what it is. So there are companies that service them, but it's $500 just to look at.
But
And then they don't even know if they can fix it.
we can go buy a brand new one and set parameters on it where we can't use it who are not paramedics, okay, or intermediates. And how much are those? 18?
35,
They're that much, 35?
brand new, again.
What's our turnout gear at right now?
35,000.
Now,
No.
What's our turnout gear at?
I've
Zero.
only bought AEDs, so
Chief, what's our turnout gear up to now?
I can help you.
Well, I just want y'all to have all the facts, and I'm not trying to play both sides here. This just happened, and it popped in there, and we were like, let's throw it in there, let's give it some while, so everybody talk about it. And like I said, this may not be the time, but we can certainly use the money in other places.
So 2 questions. One's what turnout gear up to now? Because I know like last time we bought a set, it was what, like 6,500, 7,500. What's it at now? Is it still around the same price, or are we going
You gotta
up?
add 20%, but you can get it cheaper than that.
So we're looking
I'd
at.
say what, Jim, $3 to $4 grand, $4 grand, maybe adding 20%, or maybe $4 grand without the 20%. We just have to check on it. But the only one, they bought some when they were here, back in prior to 2020.
Yeah.
Or August 2020, and they got a pretty good deal on that. But we bid it out, just like we do with anything else. We'll call 5 or 6 different companies, get the lowest bid that's gonna have the best. Now, let me tell you what happened in Chelsea the other day. They bought new turnout gear. Boy, when the structure fire, he showed up against a metal door, was going through it, he's a big guy, he wanted to beat the door. He went right through his brand new turnout gear, burned his arm up, and everything else. Nothing, and he was probably in about a mediocre or medium gear, but he wasn't wearing his good stuff. And that was a big mistake. So you're looking at different, I mean, we can get crazy with prices, but I ain't gonna do that, man. I am not gonna go out here and buy $6,000-7,000 gear when we can bid it out and get the lowest bidder and everybody be right where we need it. Because our guys, all they're gonna be able to do is attack and hit this fast. And if they don't get it in the first 20 minutes, they got a war on their hands. That's all it's to it.
All right, back to the truck. You through?
If you got any more questions, you wanna vote now?
Yeah,
Y'all got any
I'm
more
ready.
questions? Okay, but yeah, that's fine, I'm through.
Any more questions? I've got a motion to make.
Go ahead, we'll entertain the motion.
I'll make a motion, we hold off on this.
I'll second it. Any other input?
I agree. I would rather spend, if we, and I'm looking at what we have left from what we didn't spend last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know why in the world we could not get y'all a new monitor and some turnout gear.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have to understand, anything over 22 or 15 or $22,000, I have to come to y'all, and I'm going to. I'm not doing any of this.
Do we have to get bids?
Got a first and second
Yeah,
on the
for the
floor.
state.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a first and a second.
Who did
Sorry, we have a
second?
motion and a second. Second was made. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, so we are going to relegate the contracts,
You thought you were there. You
the
said
signed
you were.
contracts to shredder.
I'm gonna go back over here, thank y'all.
So that
All
makes
right.
the other bullet point on the agenda a moot point.
Is to bring us to the budget, I believe.
Right, but we're not adjusting the budget, 'cause we're not buying trucks, so that's a moot point.
Yeah, we don't need to adjust it, so.
We did.
No, we didn't approve, we waited off on voting on it to see if we needed to add a truck, so we do need to approve this. But it'll just go, or, we need to say this is what we're gonna put in front of the members, because the members are gonna vote
Don't
on it.
have this meeting because we didn't vote.
Yeah,
Well, do we need to change something if we're gonna
It's
buy them
The
some
budget
turnout
they're
gear?
gonna present
We're
to the
not-
members
Or is
next
that-
month.
No,
It's the budget that we're gonna present to the members.
we ain't yet.
No, I'm just saying, did we need to add something to some of this if we're thinking about it?
We don't
No.
really, at least not at this juncture, because we are still trying to get some ARPA money out of the town. We have to get them, I mean, applying for those ARPA funds and stuff, to get money from the town, it's basically the same as putting in a grant. We have to have some pretty detailed information to give to them so that they can give us that money to buy new turnout gear.
And in addition to that, she still has a grant outstanding for the same thing.
Yeah, and then we also have that other grant that's waiting. So, it's not, something to jump on at this point. Anybody have any input or adjustments to the proposed budget to put in front of the, members? We went over it pretty thoroughly a couple weeks ago, or last week.
Motion.
you need a motion?
Motion,
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Second?
a motion and a second on the floor. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Motion
This
adjourned.
vote.
And that was George.
We still have one more item on the
Who
agenda.
seconded?
Oh,
Yeah.
you did? Well, I had some on the agenda, so
I
I
didn't
didn't.
know the agenda either. I know it
Yeah, we
just-
didn't print it. Matter of fact, she didn't print it off for me.
I didn't.
We didn't make them come something
We took third page starting next
I
month.
was saving some trees.
Saving some trees. Let's see here. Oh, we do have this, I'm gonna pass this around for you guys to see. This is the, information request form that we have adopted. You wanna, do you, was it you or Catherine that had the discussion with Stephanie about that?
Well, we got.
How can you,
So,
you can call $10,000 to the dock.
did I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, Mike did.
I did.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Anybody else got anything?
So we're not doing anything with that, or is that?
No, no,
No, just look
just showing
at-
that, the board.
Anything from the audience?
Oh, yeah, we-
All in favor?
And what?
Yeah, I have a
All
lot
in-
of people requesting information. That's being crazy. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a motion to adjourn from Mike Fisher, or from George and